Good day to one and all. I am Marilyn G. Olivo, School Principal 2 of Canarem Elementary School, Victoria East District, Division of Tarlac Province. It is my honor and privilege to present with you my conducted applied research entitled Parents' Perception on Printed Modular Distance Learning in Canarem Elementary School, Basis for Proposed Action Plan. Parents are vital partners in educating learners. This is especially true today since face-to-face classes are not allowed amid the COVID-19 pandemic. For learners without resources to attend online classes, they are provided with learning modules which will they be used for this school year 2020-2021. To make learning possible for their children, parents preferred printed modules as the mode of learning delivery. This was based from the results generated from the Learner Enrollment and Survey Form or the LESF conducted by most public elementary schools, such as in the school where the researcher is assigned as principal. In a modular learning delivery, parents or elderly siblings will be actively involved in their children's learning and will act as facilitators. They will guide and support the learning process of the children at home. They will help in accomplishing given home learning tasks in the learning modules. Along this context, the researcher decided to conduct a study that determined parents' perception about the printed modular distance learning modality. Since this is the first time that modular learning is being implemented, research is relevant so that findings will lead to improvement in the implementation of this kind of learning. Nobody knows when this non-face-to-face class will be lifted, so it would be best to strengthen modular learning. This study then aimed to consider the insights, opinions, and perspectives of parents about printed modular distance learning modality. The findings were the basis for the development of an action plan to strengthen the role of parent support as partners in the continuous learning of children in situations when face-to-face classes with teachers are not possible. This was the very reason why this applied research was conceived. Here are the research questions. Number one, what are the parents' perception on printed modular distance learning, on distribution of modules, on retrieval of modules, time allotment, learning activities or assessment, safety and health protocols, and number two, what action plan can be proposed to enhance parental support in the printed modular distance learning? Here's the method. This was a descriptive study wherein there are 50 parent respondents selected via convenience sampling. Weighted mean was used to analyze the responses, and questionnaires were distributed through Purok parent leaders. Here are the results on the distribution of modules. Parents agreed that the distribution was well organized. Parents claimed that the schedule of distribution was not a problem since their Purok parent leaders were the ones who brought the learning modules to their homes. On retrieval of modules, parents generally agreed that retrieval of the modules went generally well. According to some of the parents interviewed, their children needed more time to answer the modules and accomplish the activities indicated. There was no problem with the designated places to put back the modules and the schedule of the retrieval, but the length of time to return the modules was so short according to some parents. In terms of time allotment, parents expressed that time allotment to finish activities in the module was not enough because they claimed activities were so many in a short period of time. Although they agreed that time for reading was adequate, the problem was on the voluminous activities to answer. This is the reason why parents disagreed that the time allotment to accomplish the learning modules for each subject was adequate, or 2.30 minutes disagree. And children were able to cope with the subjects within the time given, or 2.30 disagree. In terms of learning activities or assessment, parents agreed that activities are enough to allow learners to acquire the expected competencies. Parents also agreed that learning activities were child-friendly and these were localized and realistic. However, some parents interviewed claimed that they could not understand other lessons in the module, so they could not help their children in answering the learning activities. Most parents only finish elementary education, so they had limited knowledge. On safety and health protocols, parents highly agreed that safety and health protocols were implemented in the school in the delivery and retrieval of learning modules. Was always clean and well maintained. Moreover, hygiene and sanitation were always observed. Findings imply the assurance and confidence of control of the spread of COVID-19 in the community because of the strict observance of health protocols by the IATF and the school authorities. Overall, implementation of printed modular learning was perceived by parents to be generally well, except for two challenges extracted from parent responses in the questionnaire. These were many learning activities to accomplish in the module in a short period of time, and the inadequacy of some parents to help explain the topic to their children, so they could not answer some questions in the learning activities. The action plan, therefore, developed in this study will provide strategies to address these two challenges. What are the proposed action plan? Or the action plan to improve the implementation of the printed modular learning in the new normal. The first objective, to develop learning activities that doable in a given time. Strategy, rule of 5 strategy for multiple choice item, wherein teachers only will give 5 questions to answer per learning concept. Simple artwork, if teachers want an artwork as a learning activity, they have to give only one per learning concept. So teacher must meet during the development of learning modules so that they do not require students to do art activities at the same time for all subjects. Resources and timeline before the start of every quarter. Learning modules and learning activities. For the means of verification, we have the learning module and the meeting attendance. Another objective, to assist parents on how to guide their children in learning using the modules. Strategies, 2-day seminar for parents every quarter. School head and teachers can conduct 2-day seminar in a month to orient parents about the learning modules. Teachers will explain parts of the modules to the parents so they can assist or guide their children at home. Resources and timeline before the start of each quarter. Venue will be in the school. 50 pesos per parent will be allotted per day for the meals. And school head may use donations from LGUs. Means of verification, program, attendance, and documentation. Another one, to have better teacher-parent and community partnership for the delivery of teaching among the pupils. Strategy, Purok parent leaders may also be taught to help in guiding pupils in learning using the module. Resources and timeline all throughout the school year. Means of verification, we have documentation like pictures. For the conclusions, parents perceived that the modular distance learning was generally implemented well, except for the learning activities which they claimed were too many to complete in a given time period. Likewise, some parents claim they could guide their children in answering the learning activities because they could not understand some topics or lessons. For the recommendations, school head must meet teachers during the module development so they can determine what learning activities to include in the module on a particular day. So school head may remind teachers not to give too many learning activities, especially for the pupils in the lower grades. Number two, parents should be oriented about the lessons in the modules so they will be able to guide their children in accomplishing the learning activities. The orientation of parents must be scheduled for 2 days to cover all the lessons for the entire quarter. Teachers will hold the orientation simultaneously by grade level. For the reflection or the implication of this research in the new normal, teaching in the new normal is indeed challenging. For teachers, preparation of modules was a sacrifice as they have spent sleepless nights printing and putting together all the learning materials. Parents also had their difficulties because they did not have adequate education that could have given them knowledge to guide their children in accomplishing learning modules. However, these difficulties have to be taken as opportunities to learn. Teachers must be ready and flexible because nobody knows when this pandemic will end and when face to face class will be restored. Teachers should lead up to their noble job of teaching and developing the minds and values in whatever circumstances. Young people are the future leaders, thus, they need to be equipped and prepared for huge responsibilities to come. For the parents, they need to realize that parenting is not only providing children's materials needs, but also in helping them develop mentally, socially, emotionally, and spiritually. This means they need to be directly involved in the education of their children and fully cooperate with the school efforts for the welfare of their children. So thank you very much for listening to my presentation. Once again, I'm Marilyn G. Olivo, School Principal 2 of Canarem Elementary School, Victoria East District, Division of Tarlac Province.